We ready? All right. Good evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 29th, 2022 at 7 p.m. We are in the Brexville Valley Heights Education Center, 6638 Mill Road, Brexville. This is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for public participation during the meeting as an indicated agenda item. This meeting will be live streamed via YouTube and will also be recorded for later viewing. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 1C, roll call. We put our microphones on too. You need, like, Britt needs a microphone.
Mrs. Kramer, Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Here. Yes.
Mrs. Mack, Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes.
And just for the record, Mrs. Kramer would like the following statement to be read. That board member Ellen Kramer apologizes for not being able to attend today's meeting. Today's meeting conflicted with a family commitment, which she was unable to reschedule.
Kathleen Mack had a similar situation, so she also offers her apologies. Moving on to item 2A, announcements. Just a few president's announcements. One, we talked last month about having a safety and security presentation for today, but after further discussion, we thought it would be best to postpone it until August. And this is where we'll get a briefing on our procedures for all of our buildings. We also have decided to cancel our July board meeting. And I also would like to express on behalf of the board special thanks to our PSO Middle School Auditorium Renovation Committee headed by Denise Golick and Carrie Ellie, as they shared the following with us. We did a little better than anticipated this year, and our current bank balance is $128,000. Previously, the committee was able to contribute approximately $24,000 towards the sound and electrical upgrades completed during the summer of 2020. Thus, the committee has raised over $150,000 towards this project. Pre-COVID estimates had a total project cost of $250,000. New quotes will be obtained, will need to be obtained for seats, curtains, and paint, as well as confirming with Calvetta Brothers if it will still donate the carpet. We would love to see this project completed in the summer of 2023, and we were very happy to see it on the list of considerations for 2023. As you know, the project cannot be done during the school year as the auditorium is used daily by students. Please let us know if there is anything we can do to further move this project along or questions that you may have about the project. So once again, this is a fantastic effort by this committee to raise funds to help renovate our middle school auditorium. And we also will be contributing to that effort. Mr. Code, are we looking at 2023? Is that the current trajectory?
We have not discussed that in our PI committee, but it sounds like we're looking at 2023.
Okay, very good. All right, so again, thank you to all those involved and all those who attended fundraisers to help raise that money. Moving on to item 3, district committee reports. Just a note also, as you may recall, in a prior meeting, we disbanded the board committee reports and reconstituted those same committees as district committee reports. So that's why they're all under one category. First one is financial liaison audit committee, myself and Kathleen. There is nothing new on that front. Again, we have an audit once a year, and we already conducted that. Permanent Improvement Committee, Ellen and myself, we gave some updates, I think, in the past last month's meeting. So there's nothing new other than There are many activities going on this summer on our campus. Board Policy Committee, Kathleen and Tish.
Nothing new, but we will have a first read for the weapons policy this evening.
Very good. Transportation Appeals Committee, myself, there are none. Cuyahoga Valley Career Center report from Jim Gilbride. I spoke to him and so let me pull up. There was not a lot going on, but he did mention one thing. He said, our meeting is tomorrow. It's very quiet right now. They're working on building and maintenance projects. Safety and security meeting report, Brittany, Tish.
There's nothing, but obviously, as you mentioned in your president's announcements in August, we're going to discuss all the safety and security measures before school starts.
PSO report, Ellen, who's not here. Did she?
She did. She gave me.
Okay, very good.
I will go ahead and read the PSO update. And this is reported from Kara Mack. She says, as many of you know, the PSO represents a partnership of families, teachers, staff, and community members who work together to enhance the growth opportunities for our students. This partnership is defined by countless volunteer hours and fundraising efforts so that classrooms may be enhanced with helpful learning tools and programs that promote growth outside of the classroom. Last year, this district-wide partnership brought incredible results. Our membership team brought in over 1,400 memberships. Members contributed close to 9,000 volunteer hours and raised almost $83,000 in fundraising campaigns. Because of those efforts, the PSO was able to give thousands of dollars back to the elementary teachers for their classroom, host yet another fantastic after prom at the high school, continue partnering with the middle school on its incredible auditorium restoration project, and partner with all elementary buildings to help commemorate the closing of those buildings. And if anybody was able to go to those closings this weekend, you see how fantastic of a program the PSO put on for that. Our PSO has also established a new PSO unit for the district's new elementary building, and with it, a strong leadership team. The PSO thanks all the family, staff, and community members who contributed to the success of the PSO this year and look forward to another promising year ahead.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
And again, thank you to the PSO and for all of those involved. That it really is, it adds another dimension to our school community that is really hard to replicate. So we do appreciate all of that. Okay, other board member reports, anything else?
Nothing from the foundation at this time.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Nope,
just the
yeah,
foundation.
all good.
All right, very good. So let's move on to item 4, superintendent's announcements. I'll turn it over to Joelle.
Thank you. In the agenda, we have just our building project update that you can review should you choose. Just wanted to let our community know we're in the process, actually it's going to happen tomorrow, where we will be collapsing all 3 of the elementary schools' websites and have an under construction banner on the website to create the new one. That has been started already with our elementary principal, as well as our Jim, our PR person, to start creating that new page. So if anybody's looking and can't find information, they need anything, they can call the board office directly in the interim until that website is up and ready to go. It should be here in the next couple of weeks. We are very excited that we're starting to relocate our custodial staff over to their new assignments starting July 1st. So this Friday, our elementary custodians will report to the new building. They have a vast undertaking, as we have people who are still putting together furniture and movers all in the building at the same time. So right now, I would not venture to walk through there or advise anybody walks through there at the moment. But so they will start there July 1st and start getting the building organized and ready to go to receive people and kids starting in September, but be ready for our ribbon cutting on August 1st. Just a quick update on our tennis court project. We have run into a couple of snags where, and I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm talking about, but it did not pass a roll test, a proof roll test. And so they had to regrade a specific area of the tennis courts, and then it did pass the proof roll test in that particular part. The asphalt was supposed to be poured this week. Before that, the asphalt company decided to run yet a 3rd proof roll test on a different area, didn't pass again. So we're a little delayed on the project. It is not looking like the tennis courts will be ready before the start of the school year, which we're very disappointed about, as the project was supposed to be completed by July 19th. So we have had our athletic director making other arrangements to use courts temporarily until we can get these completed. And just a shout out to the Brexville Home Days. We set up a booth there, the first time the schools have ever set up a booth there. And we wanted to get the community and kids excited about the new elementary school, as well as all of our buildings. And we sold some spirit wear there. We did very well. We sold about $1,500 worth of items there. And we are moving on to Broadview Heights Home Days next weekend, starting on Thursday night, to do the same thing, to sell some merchandise. Whatever we have left will be also sold at the elementary tours that we're giving at the beginning of August, in hopes that everyone can take advantage of the really cute things we bought for the kids. Some of the kids were really excited. We saw them at Home Days. They bought their shirts on Fridays and came back on Saturday, and they were wearing their t-shirts. So they were very excited. Some other kids, we had bus safety day at Safety Town, and then we took the kids on the bus to the new elementary school. And we had kids that were wearing their new t-shirts on the tour of the new elementary school from Safety Town. So it's just been a really nice partnerships with both of our cities and getting the kids really excited about coming to the school. So looking forward to that.
Tennis courts. I know you said it was projected not for July 19th completion. Now we're delayed. Did they give you a completion date? What are they anticipating?
We don't have one yet. It was first delayed because they were having labor issues in terms of getting people to come out and work. And then once this test came and then it failed, we had to wait again to regrade the property. So we do not, they're talking about September 19th right now, but we will see. We're hoping to push that a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, moving on, item 5, treasurer's announcements. Craig?
I actually do not have any.
Okay, nice. Well, then we'll move on to item 6. Move on to item 6, which is communications, hearing of the public. Before I read the narrative, is there anyone today wish to be heard? Okay, so hearing of the public, persons wishing to address the Board of Education may do so at this point. No formal action will be taken on subjects that are not included on this agenda until the board has had an opportunity to study them. Comments regarding personnel must be submitted in writing through the office of the superintendent in order for the board to complete the planned agenda in an effective and efficient manner, and to provide sufficient opportunities for members of the public to be heard. Hearing of the public shall be limited to a maximum of 60 minutes, during which each speaker shall be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. And I, in an effort to be consistent with all members who wish to be heard, I will put a timer on so that if you come close to the 3 minutes, I'll give you kind of a heads up. And then when you hear the alarm go off, it means your time is up. If you could just try to wrap it up, that would be much appreciated. All right, so.
Okay, Bonnie, you're first.
Is that Mike? Is that Mike?
Just make sure it's green. Push the button. And you're good.
Okay. All right. I am Bonnie Monteleone. I am president of the Brexville Bradford Heights Education Association. The reason I'm here tonight is I wanted to share and update the board about how the teachers feel about House Bill 99. I was listening to the last meeting where this came up, and Mrs. Mack actually referred to a conversation she and I had had in the past about how the teachers felt about being armed in the schools and so on. So subsequently, I polled the membership. So I have 170 participants out of about 240 possible. After the Marjorie Stone Douglas shooting, Gallup, a reputed polling, they conducted a poll. I used questions very similar to theirs for this. And I may hit the 3 minutes, and in case I'll sit down, but when you get to House Bill 99 discussion, I'll be happy to answer anything that you haven't covered. So I asked the question, suppose our district closed for certain teachers and staff to receive special training not to exceed 24 hours per House Bill 99 to carry guns in school buildings. Please rate your view on the proposal. Strongly favor, somewhat favor, neutral, somewhat opposed, or strongly opposed. It'll be no shock, 83.5% of our staff somewhat opposed or strongly opposed. Now that strongly opposed is actually 74.7. What's unique about that is it is much higher than actually what that national poll was right after that major school shooting. In terms of the strongly favor or somewhat favor, you're looking at 10%, but the strongly favor was 3.5%. So the vast majority of our staff do not think it would be a good idea for us to do this. If certain teachers were to carry guns at your school, how effective do you think that would be in limiting the number of victims if a school shooting were to occur? Very effective, somewhat effective, not too effective, not effective at all. 81.1% said not too effective or not effective at all. The not effective at all is 56.8. Now the very effective, 4.7%. If certain teachers and staff members, in addition to the current school resource officers, were armed with guns, do you think schools in general would be safer, about as safe as they are now, or less safe? 59.8% of our staff said less safe. About as safe as they are, 28.4, and the safer is 11.8. If our district policy allowed it, would you apply to go through special training so that you could carry a gun in the school buildings? And if yes, how confident are you that with special training, you could handle a gun effectively in a live shooting at your school? Yes, very confident. Yes, somewhat confident. Yes, not too confident, or no, would not apply. 88.2% said no, they would not apply. It's fine. I'll continue after if you have any questions, but this is we are very much in opposition, and we do have concerns moving forward. We are very supportive of our school SROs. We feel that we are not an outlier rural district that is 30 minutes from someone being on campus.
Okay, thank you. Who do we have next?
Candace.
Thank you. My name is Candace Patterson, and I'm the mother of a nonverbal special needs child that was under the care of the administration and the impaired, inebriated teacher at Highland Drive. I was horrified to hear from the administration 8 hours before Fox 8 News aired the news to the world of why Camille, my daughter, had an abrupt change in teacher. It was absolutely no surprise that Camille would no longer have this teacher because myself, her father, other parents, and at least 10 teachers and aides had complained to multiple levels of administration for many weeks about the mismanagement, chaos, and incompetence of this special needs classroom. Chaos to a level I'm not even sure of, because for 10 weeks I received no communication from this employee. So God knows what happened to Camille, because she simply can't talk to me. I have so many questions. Why was an apt teacher replaced with this teacher? Why did the administration not listen to the many parents and at least 10 other employees of your district about this employee? Why wasn't I told earlier that this is what my child had to endure, including an open bottle in the classroom, and dangers I will never know of because she can't talk? This individual was brought up on child endangerment charges. Why wasn't child services called? Also brought up on child endangerment charges and was placed back into a similar situation at the high school, being charged with child endangerment. I have to believe that if this was a typically developing third grade class with students who could talk, this would have been dealt with in a matter of days, not months. And most importantly, what is going to be done to create an equally star-studded education for special needs children as you have provided for neurotypical children? Thank you.
Is anybody else? No. Okay. Okay, item 7, other board business. Item A, House Bill 99. And this goes to the weapons policy, which on the next item B is the board policy revision. It's a first read, but for this, we had received some guidance and feedback, and what's posted there is a posting from one of the law firms that we use, Gingo Bear, and you can, if people want to go and click on that link, you can see the full posting, but the crux of it was House Bill 99 does not require a Board of Education to arm school employees. This was emphasized in a recent letter from Governor DeWine to state school superintendents. Rather, House Bill 99 emphasizes that the decision to arm school staff is a local decision up to each individual school board. If a board is considering arming staff, it is advised to notify its liability insurance carrier, solicit feedback concerning the risks associated with this level of authorization, and consult with legal counsel regarding unintended consequences that may result in liability to the school district due to arming school staff. So ultimately, the House Bill 99 provides an opportunity for local control for school districts to decide if they would like to allow students with the required training to be armed in school staff. So it's just important to know that our policy right now and the change that we're going to have a first read of on the next item is language that was created by our legal team. And it is not changed by the fact that House Bill 99 was passed. And that right now, this board is not in favor of pursuing that option of arming staff. Joelle, do you have anything else to add?
That was a really good summary. We've gone around a lot about this, and I know when it passed, we received a couple of emails from parents, concerned about this new House bill. But as you stated very clearly, the board, it's a local decision, and if the board chooses not to do it, they are under no obligation to do it. And certainly, as in conversations with you, that is not the wish of the board. So there will be no discussion around whether or not that's going to be allowed. I think coupled, I'm glad Bonnie was able to come and share data from the teachers. I mean, this is just something that our staff is absolutely not comfortable with. Our parents are not comfortable with it. And so for us, it's a moot point at this juncture. The policy that you are doing a first read on is edited in a way that, again, no one is going to be able to do that at all. Lisa Gaelic was kind enough to go through some of our other policies and, indicate some other policies that deal with the discussion of weapons. We too have sent that to our legal counsel just to make sure that every single one of our policy is in line with the wishes and the feelings of the board, the staff, and what our community wants and expects from us.
And to that end, we're having legal review those other policies to just verify that there are no loopholes in there that need to be tightened up. So, right now, the board is aligned with we're not interested in having additional opportunities for people to come onto our campus armed. So we'll verify that the other policies that deal with weapons also are worded in a way that doesn't create any loopholes or opportunities. And if there are changes that are needed, we'll come back and get it in another meeting and address the policy. Any other, I guess item 7B, which is just informational, but that's the weapons policy that we had pulled from our last meeting. Yeah, and Craig's pulling it up now, but this was the original wording, we talked about making some adjustment. I know Ms. Kramer had talked about proposing some adjustment to it, but in further review, there's no loophole in this policy based on House Bill 99. So this wording stands. So this is a first reading. We'll do the second reading at our next board meeting, which will then bring it into activation. Okay, moving on to item 8, Superintendent's other business. I'll turn it over to, oh, actually, no, I've got to read through all of these. Item A, resolve to approve the resolution authorizing easements for the City of Broadview Heights Wallings Road project as attached. Item B, resolve that the Board of Education of the Brexville Broadview Heights City School District extend the employment of Chris Code as the Director of Business Services through July 31st, 2024, upon such other terms and conditions as set forth in the memorandum of understanding attached hereto. Item C, resolve to approve the 2022-2023 United Cerebral Palsy Association agreement as attached. Item D, resolve to approve the 2022-2023 STEPS Educational Group Service Contract as attached. Item E, resolve to approve the Cleveland Clinic Learner School for Autism 2022-2023 tuition agreements as attached. Item F, resolve to approve the 2022-2023 handbooks as attached. Item G, resolve to approve the property, casualty, and liability insurance coverage proposal effective July 1st, 2022 as attached. Item H, resolve to approve the 2022 robotics trip to Nashville, Tennessee as attached. Item I, resolve to approve Superintendent's other business items A through H. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. I'll turn it over to Joelle. If you could walk us through all of these items, see if there's any questions.
Sure. So item A is an easement resolution. As you may or may not know, the City of Broadview Heights is planning to do some bridge repair work on Wallings Road and a Wallings Road project, and they need access to the land that we own off of West Mill, the frontage that is on Wallings Road. So they are asking you to approve that they have use of that piece of land there.
It's actually not just repair, it's adding a lane.
Oh,
So that's why they need the easement there to encroach on some of the property, because they're adding like a turning lane there, and they're going to add a new lane over the bridge and reconfigure that area up to like Skyline.
oh, wow.
So yeah,
Pretty involved projects.
yes,
sounds like.
it is. It's going to be a headache while it's going on, but it'll be nice when it's done.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then we have a contract extension for Mr. Chris Code. The next items C, D, E are all they're student-specific agreements. We have students that attend the United Cerebral Palsy organization and STEPS school over in Broadview Heights, and then the Cleveland Clinic Learner is for 2 of our students. They're student-specific agreements for the 22-23 school year. The school handbooks, all of our new handbook. It's so nice to have one elementary handbook now, along with the high school, middle school, and Stepping Stone preschool. Our Ohio school plan insurance coverage proposal is just our annual renewal of our liability insurance. Our robotics team has qualified to go to this tournament in Nashville, Tennessee in October. So this is just gaining approval from the board on their trip.
Any questions?
I would just like to say that I was excited to see the new dress code policies in the handbooks. So,
Thank you. We worked with a group of parents on that, came up with a draft of, after talking to the building administration, and we sent that draft back out to the parents that we had worked with to get feedback, and then that was the final product.
Good. Roll call?
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes. Moving on to item 9, Superintendent's consent agenda. We have item A, resolve to approve certified personnel recommendations. Item B, resolve to approve classified personnel recommendations. And then item C, resolve to approve superintendent's consent items A to B. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the recommendations? You're going to see a lot on the classified spreadsheet. I'm sure you looked there. As you recall, through negotiations, we had a new contract negotiation to try to standardize times for certain positions. So these are all the contract revisions for those employees to move from what their hours were to the standardized hours. That's why you see a lot of names on that spreadsheet.
Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes. Item 10, Treasurer's Consent Agenda. Item A, resolve to approve the financial reports as attached. Item B, resolve to accept donations as presented. Item C, resolve to approve the final budget modifications and appropriations as attached hereto for FY22. Item D, resolve to approve the FY23 appropriations and estimated resources as attached hereto. Item E, resolve to approve the 2022-2023 pay to participate fees as attached hereto. Item F, resolve to approve the transfer as attached. Item G, resolve to approve the minutes of the May 25th, 2022 regular board meeting as attached. Item H, resolve to approve treasurer's consent items A through G. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Greg?
Okay, so on the financial reports, these are actually the information from May. So we have our bank reconciliation and then our cash position as of May. This is the actual June report, but it's all of the May numbers, but we are through May. I'm gonna kind of go relatively quickly. We'll do more of a deeper dive after we close the fiscal year here on Friday. And again, overall, this has been kind of the trend. We're still favorable to the forecast in both expenditures and revenues. At this juncture, it actually shows us with an ending cash balance of $22.1 million. The forecast, that was at the end of May, the forecast indicated $22.0 million. And then we did close, we have not done any purchasing, obviously, as we've prepared. So the ending cash balance is actually $22.7 million. So that's a good thing. However, some of our expenditures, there was a decent amount of expenditures that should have hit in fiscal 22 that are going to hit fiscal 23. So it'll show a little bit inflated, and I'll talk more about that in August. So a little bit of like, same thing. If there's any questions, I can answer any of those. But overall, everything looked really well for the year as a whole. And again, as we've closed, it continues to look good.
So we're not expecting any big changes over the coming in. Basically, it's just this week. I mean, well,
Correct. Yeah, I mean,
this last.
right. There's been the last check run was done last week, so that's like our official ending balance at this point. So
Okay.
We'll have some that all of our stuff comes in for July 1st, and it'll hit at that point.
Okay.
Our one donation for $150 to the girls softball team. These are the final appropriations, budget modifications, as well as estimated resources for the fiscal year. So this is aligning basically what we spent along with any encumbrances for fiscal 22 that'll get submitted to the county auditors tomorrow. And then it's also going to set the same, it's going to count our resources. How much did we actually have in cash available to do that with in all of our accounts. Then on 23, this will get us set up at least for our initials appropriations, as well as estimated resources for what we have going on for next year, so we can operate. And then our pay to participate fees. I've talked with Mark a little bit about this. We're probably gonna have hopefully a couple of discussions throughout the year, but since COVID has happened, we have not had any increases really in pay to participate fees or clubs or club sports or whatever. And we've been using more data-driven decisions to then start compiling new information. We've integrated that information into pay schools. And so the way we're tracking clubs and activities has improved. And so we're gonna try to then model more data as we move forward. So this was like an adjustment year, and it's noted on all of these. I'm not gonna bore everybody with these, but it is noted that we have there were no increases for the past 2 years due to COVID. We did find some discrepancies where some clubs were undercharged, or sports that were undercharged, some were overcharged. And so we're going to try to make those modifications over as we start to trend some data. So we capped any of those increases or decreases by 25%. And then we're, like I said, we're monitoring enrollment in this column, so you can take a look and see where everything's at. But like everything, some people will be happy and some people will probably not be. But again, we're trying to make up ground for where we were since COVID has hit, and we'll continue to do as good of a job as we can. I know that at the high school level that has the most amount of fees is that they're going to be trying to make sure they're working with those advisors to make sure that we're taking more attendance, because sometimes we do initial rosters. And so next year they're going to do more check-ins with the advisors to make sure that if a kid joins a month or two late, that they're still being documented and that they would then get assessed the fee, which would then in reality then lower the fee the next year, as we would then trend that data with more participants, right?
Let me just jump in too and just give a little of the backstory, since I've been on the board 10 plus years. So I'm going to dial back all the way to like 2009, 2010. We had 3 operating levies fail, and after the third one failed, we moved to 100% pay to participate fees. So back in that area, families were paying 100% of the cost, and the cost is the coach or the coordinator's salary to run that program. So if it's debate club, or if it's football, it doesn't matter. And then transportation. So those 2 components. So basically coach or advisor's compensation plus transportation costs, that was the total cost for that. And then you divide that by how many students participated, and that became the 100% pay to participate. But what had happened over the years then is, as we restored and repaired our financial health, the board wanted to make adjustments, because 100% pay to participate was not good for our families, wasn't good for participation. So the board was trying to thread the needle about, we don't want to go to the board pays for everything and then run into budget problems and then go back to having to institute fees and whatnot. So where we landed was 50% pay to participate with caps. And the caps were, I believe it was 500 per high school, 250, 300 for middle school. So we had caps in place. So that's the way we've been operating now for a number of years. But when you get into the nuances of how you assess that fee, there was also some adjustments that had to be made, because if you had boys high school cross country and girls high school cross country, you can't have a big disparity in the cost. So if one of those coaches had been here for a long time and was receiving a higher salary, and the other coach was a first-year coach, the salaries would have been different, the costs would have been different. So there was some feathering that was done so that you could kind of smooth out some of those differences. So you didn't have a boys sport and a girls sport be wildly different. So there was some judgment that was put into these pay to participate fees. So where we're at now, and Craig did a nice job walking through it, is that we're getting better data on what these costs actually are. And as we're getting that better data, we're finding that some of these activities we're overcharging and some were undercharging. Instead of trying to make one correction all at once, where fees drop really low and fees jump way really high, we capped the adjustment at 25%. So if the adjustment needed to be more than 25%, we held it at 25%. So that's why on some of these, you're going to see fees drop a maximum of 25%, and you're going to see fees on some increase a maximum of 25%. And the hope is over the next few years, we'll get back to reality. So for parents out there who have questions about, hey, why did this go up so much, whatever, that's the rationale behind it. Keep in mind also, we still have the caps in place. So we actually have a number of more activities now to where you've hit the cap, because the cost is reflective of value that hits the cap. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there so that if we have any questions from our family, we have had kind of a history with pay to participate back from 100% pay to play down to our current model, which is 50% plus caps. And now that we're getting better data, and we haven't had any increases in at least a couple of years. So this is an attempt to kind of make adjustments to come back more into reality.
Correct. And I think that, so the cost of the caps necessarily was about $50,000 was forgiven basically due to caps, just to keep that in perspective as well, as we looked at that. And then the total budget for what this program brings in terms of cash flow, it's about 250,000 on an annual basis. The transfer request, this is for the athletic fund, which is currently in the negative. So this will correct that for us as we're still kind of coming out of COVID. And that's it. And the minutes, sorry, and that's it. Are there any questions?
There's no questions from me, but a comment, just to piggyback on what Mark said. Whoever's listening to this or watching this, I know pay to participate is probably going to, we're going to get a lot of questions when the school year starts. If you're listening to this, pull up, parents, please pull up the visuals that Mr. Yanaglas has put in place to explain it, because it really does a good job of explaining why you're being charged what you're being charged, and listen to both Craig and Mark's explanations, but have that visual because it'll make sense.
Right. And, if you want to see some fees drop, encourage more students to participate in the activity, because it is a math problem where you take the cost and you divide it by the participants. So if you can get more students involved in a particular activity, then everybody has a lower cost. Any other comments or questions? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes. Item 11, closing items. Item A, announcements. Our next regular meeting of the Board of Education is scheduled for Tuesday, August 16th at 7 p.m. As I mentioned, we're canceling our July board meeting and we're moving our August meeting up a little earlier, so plan accordingly. Item B is adjournment. Resolve to adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Dosen.
Yes. Meeting's adjourned. Have a safe and happy summer.